I've been wanting to check out this interview that JD Vance did with Dana Bash over at CNN. I wanted to check it out with you guys because obviously you guys know we've been talking a lot about, the claims that are going on in Springfield, Ohio of, Haitian migrants allegedly eating people's pets and stuff like that, which has been debunked numerous times at this point. But people like Donald Trump and JD Vance keep doubling, tripling, quadrupling down about it, insisting that it's a real thing, even though anybody with two functioning brain cells to rub together can tell you that no, this is absolute bullshit. But Dana Bash interviewed JD Vance and they tackled this particular subject. And I'm hearing that apparently in this interview at some point, JD Vance admits that him and Donald Trump may have made up the story. I know it sounds insane, but let's go ahead and let's dive into this and let's see what he has to say. Here we go. Let me refresh the page here.
Boom. We are 51 days from the election, and together with their running mates, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are focusing on the states that will decide the next president, with the race apparently deadlocked after what could be the only Harris-Trump debate. But Donald Trump is also doubling down on...
Yeah, we talked about that on my last stream, how like Trump is claiming that he won the last debate. And he's claiming that, like, after I won the debate with Joe Biden and now I won the debate with Kamala Harris, there will be no third debate. And it's like, I don't know, man, you kind of look like you're running scared. Like, if I had to be completely honest, it kind of seems like you're a little bit afraid to let, Kamala beat you up again verbally and make you look like a fool. That's what it seems like to me.
Baseless claim that he made at...
You know what it kind of sounds like, actually? Kind of sounds like hope.
You are coping.
That sounds like a big, healthy helping of coke in the morning, In your little cereal bowl for breakfast, instead of serving up some cereal, some Wheaties or something like that, you just had some fresh coke in that bowl. And, yeah, that's what it sounds a lot like. A lot of coping and seething.
Nightmare.
Debate that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio are eating people's pets. Local officials and the state's Republican governor...
It's one of those things that no matter who utters those words and how serious they are when they utter those words, I can't help but laugh. I can't help but laugh anytime. Chat, like, you can't tell me that you don't at least get a little bit of a giggle when you hear somebody reporting on these claims and saying that, these unfounded claims of people eating cats. Like, oh my God.
Say there is absolutely no evidence of that claim, and they are warning it is actually hurting their city. Springfield, Ohio is facing a fourth day of threats over the claims that have forced a college, hospitals, and schools to lock down. Meanwhile, Springfield police say they received 2 calls about Proud Boys marching through the city. Here's how Donald Trump responded to the controversy over Haitians who, I want to note, are in the U.S. legally.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing.
Wait, so is he trying to, blame the bomb threats on the Haitian immigrants there, too? Oh my God, he's such an idiot.
Happened. Springfield.
Why does anybody want to vote for this man? I don't understand.
Beautiful town, and now they're going through hell.
Yeah, it's your fault. You and your vice president, it's your guys' fault. The moment you said that stupid shit in the fucking debate, now they're facing bomb threats to the local schools in the community, to the local medical facilities in the community, the local colleges in the community. That's your fucking fault, dude. Holy shit.
Now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here.
Can I just can I just be blunt here for a second? He just looks like a fucking idiot. Okay. I can't look at JD Vance and he just looks like an idiot. Okay? There's certain people that you can tell just by looking at them that there's nothing behind their forehead. They're just really fucking stupid. That's what I see when I look at JD Vance.
Sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city And it was their words that did.
He looks like a human version of a Chucky doll with brown hair and a beard. Oh my God. You know what? I haven't seen that, but now that you said it, I can't unsee it. Now that you've said it, I can't unsee it. Let me bring one up. Oh my God. You're so right. Look at this chat. The resemblance is uncanny.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Oh my God. Good one, Chasing Dopamine.
Did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor.
Danny the Fish says, do you have a mirror, in reference to me saying some people just look stupid? I do own a mirror, and while I do look in the mirror from time to time, I don't see someone that looks stupid. But I would be willing to bet your mom felt really stupid when she chose not to swallow you. I'm just saying.
These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me first.
Where is he getting confirmation of this? What is your source?
Nice argument. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Because so far, every public official for the city of Springfield, Ohio, that's come forward has stated there's no verifiable claims that this is legitimate. So what the fuck is your source for this? You're claiming that you have verified examples of... Show your sources, because we're hearing the opposite from people who actually work in the town. I don't understand.
Hand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening.
Okay, so again, like, he's citing like these 911. Where are these 911 calls? Why are we having law enforcement in the town? Why are we having the mayor of the town? Why are we having the city manager of the town all say that this isn't fucking true? Like, where are these 911 calls coming from that you claim? And it's funny that he mentions the geese, because we talked about the geese earlier in the stream chat. Let me see if I could find this link. Shout out to Camel Spider for sharing this link with us. Here it is. Or is it this one? Where is it? I have it somewhere. I'll keep the video playing while I look for it.
My attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job.
Here it is. Found it. We looked at this earlier in the stream, but I'm going to bring it up again since he mentioned the geese. I brought up an article on TMZ earlier where they reveal from the Division of Wildlife there what was actually going on with the geese. It was literally just a man cleaning up roadkill. Okay, this wasn't a man who went to a state park and bludgeoned some geese and then took them home to cook them up for dinner. It was literally a guy cleaning up roadkill. Like, utter fucking insanity. It's unreal.
try to fight for them, and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims.
Oh my God. So apparently there were 2 phone calls of reports of these things happening, neither of which had any evidence to substantiate the claims. Oh my God.
Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the...
Wasn't there a video that like one of these like conservatives shared on social media where it was like they were trying to say, look, it's a barbecue grill with a cat on the grill. And it's like, if you like look close enough at it, it's somebody cooking chicken. Like it's chicken.
Schools and the hospitals and so forth being...
If anybody has the link to that video, I'll show it. But yeah, they try to pass it off as like, yo, see, they're cooking up a cat right there. And it's literally chicken.
Overwhelmed. Nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help.
Right.
But you're not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of...
We're back. How are we still talking about people eating dogs an hour later? It's because this is all they want to talk about right now. They just want to constantly beat it into people's heads, make them believe that this is a thing, even though all the evidence points to it not being a thing. It's like, okay, maybe I'm biased here, and maybe somebody can correct me in chat if I'm like forgetting something, but it really truly seems like people on the left never fall for these kinds of insane conspiracy theories. It's always right-wingers. Every fucking time. Like, am I wrong? Like, I've seen occasionally where like somebody on the left will share some, lefty misinfo or something like that. Maybe they'll get some details wrong and they might not communicate it accurately or something. Like, those things happen, but I never, ever, ever, ever see leftists fall for crazy conspiracy theories like this. It's just nuts.
Bomb threats because of the cats and dogs thing. Why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist.
Wow, look at her. She's like, oh, wow. Okay.
There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals...
Are you kidding me? You and Donald Trump have signal boosted these bullshit claims about animals being eaten in this town. Cats, dogs, geese, all this shit. And suddenly they're being overwhelmed with bomb threats, shooting threats, all of this shit. And you have the nerve to try and say that your actions haven't resulted in this kind of shit happening? So it's just a coincidence that all these bomb threats and shooting threats are taking place right after you guys tried to spread this racist rhetoric? Okay, if you say so.
The bomb threats and so forth. It's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that...
Oh, he's mad, Chad. He's coping and seething.
You are coping and seething.
Him and Trump can never accept responsibility for their actions ever. We saw this in the debate when they asked Trump if he regrets anything he did on January 6th. And he refused to admit any wrongdoing whatsoever on January 6th. They can't take accountability for anything.
cats and dogs
you
were
asked,
being
you
eaten.
asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering.
He's literally throwing his constituents under the bus. So if you happen to be watching this and you're a supporter of JD Vance and Donald Trump, he just threw y'all under the bus. I'm only repeating what my constituents are saying. Come on.
Because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when...
That means they're legally here. What?
Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible...
That's exactly what that means. That is exactly what that means. They are here legally.
Indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time, but the fact is it is the law.
Bennigan in the chat says, why does his eyes look so soulless? Because they are. This man has no soul.
Because President Biden
the point
and
is,
Vice President Harris are, but I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy
Dana,
because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I
want to talk about instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that
it was
Harris,
your distraction.
Dana, granted amnesty.
You were the one who started talking about eating dogs.
Oh my God, this is like, okay, Trump made himself look like a fool during the debate, and now we have his vice president that he selected to run with him, his running mate, making a fool of himself on national television. Like, chat, it can't get any better. These two people are fucking clowns. I will be shocked if by some chance Kamala doesn't win this thing, because she's literally competing with fucking clowns.
Mass level.
You were the one who brought this
my
up.
Constituents
the president
were the
said
ones
it to
who talked
60
about eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about it.
Have you been
it's
to
my
Springfield?
Responsibility to surface their concerns
Good question.
when the American media
Have you been to
ignores it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've taken my
recently,
children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've gotten these calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
I
I'm
haven't
talking
been
about
in the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield, Dana,
constituents.
and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me?
Well, because you're not trying to answer the questions, you're trying to deflect or whatever. You're just trying to talk over her, so you don't have to answer the question. He's so slimy. Yeah, true, Miss Genderlin. What was the name of that place that he mentioned? Wouldn't it be really funny if you look up that place and it's not even in Springfield? He mentioned some ice cream shop or something.
Instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that Kamala
it was
Harris,
your
Dana,
distraction.
granted amnesty.
You were the
at
one
a
who
mass
started
level.
talking
She
about
granted
eating
amnesty
dogs
at a
and
mass
cats.
level.
You were the one who
Dana,
brought this
my
up.
constituents
The president
were the
said
ones
it to
who talked about
60
eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked
Let me go back.
but
Where was
also
it at?
talk about the terrible consequences in the country.
Where was it
that
at?
they're here legally. Of answer it.
That the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but answer it.
Okay, after that, they were
what we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policy
So it was right about here, wasn't it?
than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator,
and
this
threats of
happened
violence.
after you and
But to
President
say-
Trump
no,
were
Dana,
on the
to
debate
say-
stage.
Literally
saying
can't
that
accept
cats
any
and dogs
accountability
are
for
being
this.
You
eaten.
asked a question,
And
Dana, and
after
I'm going to
that-
go ahead and answer.
Literally
it.
can't
After
accept
that,
any
they were
accountability.
What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now,
Wait,
you
somebody in the chat is saying it's not in Springfield? Wait, so, okay, I was just guessing that. Like, wouldn't it be funny if that ice cream shop he mentioned wasn't in Springfield? According to Hagatha in the chat, apparently it's not. Oh my God.
just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They're in the country and in this country.
You might not agree with the disagreements all the time.
The point
and
is,
Vice
Dana,
President Harris are, but I don't want to frankly go.
You made a point.
I want to talk about.
You
started talking about. Senator, it was your distraction.
Dana, granted amnesty.
You were the one who started
level.
talking about eating dogs and cats.
Level.
I can't. Oh my God, I can't get over that. This is the state of the world we're living in. We have right-wing, folks running for office, the highest office in the land, president and vice president, arguing over whether or not people are eating cats and dogs. What is this world we live in?
You were the one who
Dana,
brought this
my
up.
constituents
The president
were the
said
ones
it to
who talked about
60
eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about
Have
it.
you
and
been
it is
to
my
Springfield?
responsibility to
Here we go.
surface
This is
their
where it's at.
concerns when the American
I went way
media
too
Have you been
ignores
to
it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've taken my
recently,
children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you
Young's Jersey Dairy. Let's see. Young's Jersey Dairy, Ohio. Let's see. Yeah, Yellow Springs, Ohio. How far is that from Springfield? Let's see. Yellow Springs. Let's see how far that is from Springfield. Springs, Ohio to Springfield, Ohio. 16-minute drive. It's about 10 miles away, so it's not too far away. In fairness to him, it's not too far away, but it's not in Springfield. Oh my God, that's fun. I literally just threw that out there. That was just one of those where you just kind of throw that out there, not even thinking that it's actually going to amount to anything, but it actually did. That's fucking hilarious.
heard recently since you've
Have I been
gotten
in the
these
last?
calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
no,
I'm
I haven't
talking
been in
about
the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield, Dana,
constituents.
That's
and they're
too funny.
telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am, and I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know,
that's the whole point that like these conservatives don't get. The reason why they're getting corrected on this shit is because the absurdity of their claims. Yeah, somebody might say something that's not quite accurate, or maybe even just a little dishonest, but it might slip by because it's not the most absurd fucking thing you ever heard of. But when you look at the debate, the reason why they kept checking Donald Trump is because he's talking about people eating cats and dogs. He's talking about Kamala performing transgender surgeries on illegal immigrants in prison. And he's talking about people aborting babies that have already been born. Like, this is the kind of absurd shit he was talking about. And this is why they fact checked him on that shit, because it's fucking insane. None of these things are happening.
I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation. But there are other conversations that are happening.
Okay, so that was part one of the conversation. I had part two queued up, and like a dummy, I just closed it by accident. Let me see if I could pull that up for a second. Let's see. JD Vance. CNN interview 2. Okay, here's the second part of that. Here we go.
Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said.
Do we need to watch the rest? If I remember correctly, isn't the second part the part where he actually admits that they made up the story?
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump. They have spoken my son.
Yellow Springs and Springfield are two distinctly different places. They aren't close enough to think you are in one city while technically in the other. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I see what you mean. So they're very different towns. They're like not easily confused as one or the other.
Son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking.
Can you imagine being a parent of a son that was lost in an accident and you hear these fucking assholes using your son's death to spread hateful fucking rhetoric? I would be pissed.
For you to apologize, will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrant...
So you're not going to apologize to them? You're not going to apologize to these grieving parents? What a piece of shit.
Have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents, and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris...
To be fair, Trump never apologized to the Gold Star family. I mean, because they're both pieces of shit. I mean, I'm sure you already knew that, but they're both pieces of shit, so of course they're not going to.
Open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services...
Yeah, and those are genuine problems. That's absolutely true, but I don't think... spreading racist rhetoric and like your answer being we need to mass deport all immigrants out of this country. I don't think that that's the fucking answer. I don't think that that's how you solve those problems.
Are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated, on the debate stage that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media
The entire Haitians eating pets narrative was started by far-right neo-Nazi group called Blood Tribe. Not only that, these immigrants are legal, therefore deporting them is ethnic cleansing. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Not even pretty much. I mean, that is exactly what it is. I wasn't familiar with that whole neo-Nazi group, the Blood Tribe. I didn't know that aspect of it. That's interesting for sure. But it doesn't surprise me that a neo-Nazi group would be the source of these claims.
Ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
but it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana.
Did you hear that? Do you need me to run that back real quick, chat? Hold on.
It totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
but it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because
he literally openly admitted he literally openly admitted that they're just fabricating stories so they could have an excuse to talk about this shit. Like, this is like, you know, you hear the phrase get thrown around sometimes about like, you're saying the quiet part out loud. This isn't even that, saying the quiet part out loud. This is talking publicly about the part you're never, ever, ever supposed to mention. Okay? Like, if you're making shit up to push a narrative, to push political propaganda, in this case, very racist propaganda, like, you're not supposed to say that shit. And he's saying it on national television.
You guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk
about, oh my fucking God, no, he doesn't need to be in office. Like, okay, I will never understand. And the funny thing is, you know, MAGA supporters, they will defend this shit 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. But I will never understand what kind of brainworms you have to have in your head to look at that debate that we watched, you know, last week with Trump and, you know, Kamala Harris, and then this conversation here, and still be like, yep, they're going to get my vote. Like, you have to have some level of mental derangement to still want to vote for these people after these ridiculous claims being made on the public stage.
About pushing back against me, Dana, you didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
She won't let him get past that one. She will not let him get. Hold on.
Gonna do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating
a story.
About
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that.
Chat. I have to see that again. Hold on. I got to see that again.
Coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating
a story.
About
public policy.
Do you know what that look is right there, chat? I think someone will figure it out. There's a phrase we like to use in my community in regards to moments like this. You know what that look is, chat? I'm waiting for someone in chat to say it. Come on, chat. Don't disappoint me. Coping and seething.
You are are coping.
He's so
coping and seething.
fucking mad.
You just can't accept what
Oh
you're
my
seeing.
God.
Yes, you're coping.
Oh my God.
Seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping.
What do you even say to that?
Coping so hard.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants.
Ladies, you bet posts a buffering symbol emoji says JD Vance's brain right now. It's literally this. This is his brain right now. Oh my God.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Stop being such a little gay homo queer.
Oh my God.
Coming into Springfield, thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married.
Okay, at least he's not like Trump, where he's like, there were good people on both sides. At least he's not pulling that shit. Okay, you know, I'll give him a little bit of credit for that one. He did condemn the Proud Boys. Okay.
To a non-white person, I don't like.
He did
these people,
condemn
but I
white
think that we have
supremacists.
to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. Can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these...
What distraction? You're the one talking about people eating people's pets. You're the one creating lies that are like, okay, if these are genuine issues that you're concerned about, focus on that. Why do you have to spread bullshit? And then you blame the media for like, why are you guys getting all hung up on this dogs and cats thing? Like, you brought it up. You and Donald Trump brought it up.
Proud Boys marches. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath...
He's still a weasel pushing racist conspiracy. Yeah, he really is.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
I will happily dab up with the Nazis.
Is calling it a bomb threat. Somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians who are having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should...
Yes, she did suggest that. And I agree with her. If you hadn't said this dumb shit, these threats would not have happened to that community. Like, how hard is this to understand? I don't get it.
Shut up about the residents of Springfield. Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concern?
Okay. My guy. I don't think you're in any position to talk about someone being engaged in propaganda when you're literally using hateful rhetoric to try and push your agenda in regards to your policy positions on immigration. Oh my God, this guy is an idiot.
Concerns of American citizens.
I was
Please.
quoting the actual mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging he said after the bomb threats, begging federal officials, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is actually an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on
anybody with any bit of even the slightest bit of intelligence in their heads can look at this and say, you and Donald Trump said these things on the public stage, okay, at rallies, during the debate, during this conversation, etc. And after you guys said these things, these threats took place in the town. It doesn't take a whole lot of brain matter to put those two things together. Like, what?
Ground in Springfield. Why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses J.D. Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even
whose
if you
name
misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why that people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay, if you have somebody you want to tell us.
Yeah, exactly. Richard Dragon in the chat says, just like they are stealing our nation doesn't incite violence either. Yeah, exactly. A lot of the rhetoric that was used, like, for example, during Jan 6, it provoked that violent response that we saw on January 6th. Like, they like to play dumb. Like, they don't know that their words result in these types of actions. They know what they're doing, but they like to play dumb, like they don't understand it.
It's about who has proof that somebody ate their cat. Of course, we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after
thank you,
these
Anonymous
bomb
Funny
threats,
Bunny.
federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence. We should be able to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we can talk about other issues. Senator, thank you so much.
Oh my God, he looks so annoyed
Thanks,
at the
Dana.
end. Oh my, it's so insane to me that we're still having this conversation. All evidence points to these claims of Haitian migrants eating people's pets is just not happening. And yet they continue to double, triple, quadruple down on this stupid shit. You're making yourselves look like clowns. This is clown world, chat. We are literally in clown world. And oh my God, I really, truly hope that these fucking idiots don't get elected. Oh, what the fuck?